This is Ms. Rouse, and we are the speech and debate coaches here at Carthage High School. Thank you very much for attending tonight. I see some familiar faces. Hello, hello. We're glad that you can make it. We do have some new information this year to talk about in the current state of things that make this experience a little bit different than what we would like to be doing weekend after weekend after weekend after weekend. So to start off, just really quick here, we think debate is a wonderful activity for your students, regardless of what it is they're going to do in life. They're going to be able to use the skills that we're going to teach them, hopefully for good, although, I do apologize for some of, the other things that they do with those skills. But being competitive in the collegiate application process, debate is going to look really, really good, and it's going to give you a big leg up, especially on that interview process when it comes time to interview for college or a job. First thing to kind of note and mention is that we are a MSHSAA-sponsored activity. MSHSAA stands for the Missouri State High School Activities Association. It is our state sponsor of speech and debate. Just like the sports have the regular seasons and then the postseason qualifications to determine who goes to state, we have a similar process. We have a regular season, we have a district qualifying tournament, we have a state tournament. State is usually in Springfield. As of right now, it's still in Springfield. Will it be in Springfield? If I was a betting man and had money to bet, I would say no. But it's in Springfield. Some things that you need to know is that in addition to the Carthage R-9 rules and regulations throughout the day, students are also subject to MSHSAA rules. One of those things being a citizenship policy, where their actions, especially the things that they do online, can be looked at and be dealt with accordingly. CarthageTigers.net. This is a website put together by our activities director, Mr. Mark Kohl. All CHS sports and activities have a section on this particular website. So there is a student and a parent manual for expectations of behavior and other things on this website. News from the AD on weather-related issues, which if we were traveling would be a thing, but since we might not be traveling, might not be a thing, will be posted on there as well as Twitter. There are calendars of all sports and activities, scheduled meets on this site as well. Ours is not though, and we'll get to that in a little bit. We are also a member of the NSDA, the National Speech and Debate Organization. This is a national organization. It's been around since 1925 and is an honor society for speech and debate. Okay, so this is one of those things that being a member of this gets them into this society. They're going to be able to do this on a college application. It's a well-known thing. Colleges know what this organization is and what it takes to be a member of this. There's a one-time fee of $25 to pay that once, and it's done, it's over, and never again. Basically how it works, students earn points based off their performance, and then they're recognized upon point accumulation at certain degrees. Much like state, this also is an organization unto itself. There's a district qualifying tournament that if a student places in the top 2 to 3, they then qualify to the national tournament. MSHSAA state stuff and NSDA state stuff, completely different things. They are not related to each other at all. Nationals this year, if it is held in person, I think is in Des Moines, Iowa. In the past, though, we've taken kids to Fort Lauderdale, Las Vegas, Indianapolis, Salt Lake City, Dallas more times, and Birmingham more times than any of us ever cared to admit that we've been. well as Kansas City. So there are a couple of upcoming ones. I know, I just went blank on what those are, right? But CFL ones like that. Yeah. There's a rotation. So once things go back to quote unquote the new normal and travel is a thing again, then for a week during the summer, students that qualify will be taking to this tournament. There's another organization that we're part of in CFL. It's another different organization, but it hosts a national tournament. This year it's in Minneapolis, next year it's in Washington, D.C. We've taken kids to Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Fort Lauderdale, San Francisco, Milwaukee. We've taken kids all over the place based on how they do it. Dress code. Usually, males will be in suits. Usually, females either will be in suits or they'll be in some sort of blouse, pants, suit put together. Suits aren't necessarily required, but that's what the norm is going to be. That's what most people are going to be wearing. Slacks and a nice dress shirt are also acceptable. We are not asking anybody to go out and buy $1,000 suits or anything like that. We are asking students to look kind of business professional, though, as that's going to kind of play into how they're judged as part of our activity. So when doing that, please make sure your students' clothes fit, especially since if you have a freshman coming in, they're going to be growing and they're going to be changing, and they need to make sure that their pants actually go down all the way and aren't cutting off at the ankle and whatnot. So make sure that they fit, make sure that they are still school appropriate. My suggestion, especially for females, would be on Friday, if we do end up traveling places, just wear pants on Friday. That way skirts are not even something anybody has to question, because I know that finding school appropriate stuff can be an issue there. Some frequently asked questions here. Debate is a year-round activity. We start our season in October, and it never ends. The state does have its championship held in late April, but both of the nationals that we usually attend in CFLs is Memorial Day weekend, and then the NSDA's national tournament is a week in June. So basically the three of us are busy September through June. Tournaments are held usually on Fridays and Saturdays. Other sports and activities, we encourage students to be involved in several different things. There are most things we can work with. Spring and fall sports, we work around pretty easily. Winter sports, it gets a little trickier. It gets just a little trickier. Clubs and organizations, though, that's not a problem at all. Okay, so information to you. Here's how we will disperse information. I'm sure that your student tells you every single aspect of every moment of their day. So to help counter that, the first thing that we're going to do is weekly, the week of the tournament, we will send out an email, kind of with the itinerary of what's going on. We will also use Twitter. You can follow us. The handle is up there, Carthage GV8 team. Okay. Once again, if we are traveling, that's going to be the primary way that we're going to send information out at 6 a.m. in the morning. Hey, snow's coming down. We're not going to be going. So it's going to be really, really helpful for you if you follow us on Twitter.com. If you don't have social media, and your student does, I highly suggest you figure out the social media, because colleges, employers are all looking at their social media. MSHSAA looks as well. There's a lot of different events that we participate in. I'm not going to go over them individually. Your students should be able to tell you what they are. This year we're going to do 2 different types of debate. And then we've got about 10 to 11 different individual events that spread the gamut from acting to public speaking to reading events that students can be involved in. As far as class specifics, we do attend 3 a semester. They've got to help out with the ones that we host. We ask that they try at all times. We recognize not everybody is going to be great at this, especially at first. But if you try and work with us on that, that's all we expect. You must be MSHSAA eligible. One thing that MSHSAA requires is that students pass 7 of their 8 credit classes in order to participate in the spring semester. So what that means is students have to first be earning 8 classes that earn credit. So for our juniors and seniors, if you take a workroom is not a credit, which then means you have to pass all 7 of your classes to be eligible for the next semester. Incoming freshmen start with a clean slate, but starting for the spring semester, they must pass 7 of their 8 classes in order to be eligible to compete. If they are enrolled in the Intro to Debate class, if they stay the whole year, that Intro to Debate credit will count for the personal communications graduation requirement. They're going to do way more public speaking and research with us here in debate than they would in the personal communication speech credit. So one thing that we work towards is having that Intro to Debate class count for the graduation requirement. We will be hosting officially, the school, 2 tournaments. The first one is going to occur October 24th, and that is a novice debate tournament. So our new novice Intro to Debate kids will be competing at that tournament, and our older, more seasoned students will be running and judging at that tournament. The big one that we host, our big fundraiser / moneymaker, is on January 8th and 9th, 2021. We're going to need a lot of help with that, especially as right now I don't know what that's going to look like. The main issue that we will be needing, though, is we will be needing judges to judge the tournament. Judging is not hard. It could sound difficult, but it's really not. Okay? We have several different things that you can judge. Over half of them are rank them in order 1 through 6. What did I prefer? Who did the best? Okay? We will have, if we host in person, we will have hospitality. We will feed you for coming and judging, as that is greatly appreciated. Our 2 district qualifying tournaments. The first is MSHSAA. In addition to being entertaining, you get paid for each round you judge by the great state of Missouri. And free food. So that is the first weekend in March, and we host that one as well. The National Speech and Debate Association District Tournament will be held 2 weeks later. So that is the start of our spring break, March 13th or 14th, something along those lines. Tentatively, that is going to be held in Republic, or it will be virtual. It kind of all depends on how things go. We do need help with both of those tournaments. You'll be paid for your time in addition to free food. And now we get to kind of the real part of this. All right, so Please keep in mind that as we are entering this new world order here, things are changing for us on how things are running almost on a daily basis. We went from basically 2 weeks ago not knowing who was going to host to at least being able to figure out the first 2 months of our season. Even within that, there are so many different options that are coming out as to what people are going to try to do to have this activity that we are kind of information overload trying to figure out how this can be done. But here is what I can tell you. On Saturdays, we ask that you please take your students' temperature prior to coming. When they get here, we will take their temperature. If you have a student who doesn't drive, please do not just kick them out of the car, at the front of the door and drive off and leave. Please wait for us to take their temperature to make sure that they are feeling well enough to be there that day. Okay? What I can also tell you is right now that the fall will mainly be virtual tournaments. That means a lot of different things. And it's going to be something that we reiterate to the students multiple times. Whether they listen to that or not, I don't know. But there's going to be a mixture of different things going on. Some tournaments, our speaking and acting events, will be pre-recorded and turned in. So it is highly possible if a student is doing humorous interpretation, they technically may not be here in the building, but still attend the tournament because they will submit a video. There may be some where the prelims have the video, and then the out rounds, semis, and finals could be live. Extemp and the debates will be live. So kind of our plan for that is if your student is involved in extemp and debate, we will have, it's going to be basically like this. We will have the commons, we will have kids socially distanced enough here in the commons, and when it is their time to perform, we will have a room assigned for them where they can go and perform. We are really, really, really anxious for these Chromebooks to come in so we can actually start practicing with some of the technology that's going to be used in competing at these tournaments. Kind of as a trade-off with that, there won't necessarily be a concession stand. Normally when we would travel, we may stop and get something to eat, or there would be a concession stand provided by the tournament. So we're going to look into several options as in terms of either catering or having food provided, so that way the kids have something to eat Friday night and Saturday as well. Okay, the schedule. We do have copies of our October and November schedule. A lot of schools in the state of Missouri are still deciding whether or not it's worth it to host, either financially if they can, or if their school will even allow them to. So it may be a month by month ahead of time. Here's the schedule, but that will literally be because I don't know who's hosting yet. A lot of people are holding out that the second semester will be live, and so they're waiting to make some sort of judgment call on whether or not to host based on that. So, but right now we do have copies of October and November available for you that we'll get to here in just a minute. I will also send out the district dates here pretty soon, but once again, those are in March. We know that we just don't have them now on that sheet of paper quite yet. This is a brand new format that we're using. I don't know how things are going to run. Tech-wise, anytime something new happens, it kind of takes a while to get used to. I anticipate there's going to be some things go wrong that are going to cause things to maybe potentially run behind. My good old sports analogy is this. You go to a basketball game, occasionally the games go into overtime. Just like that, we can tell you when the kids have to be here. We can't tell you when we're going to be back, if we travel, or when they're going to be done here, because it's all going to be dependent upon how they do and how the tournament is running. But since, especially in the fall, it's all going to be here, it shouldn't do that late. Okay. We have a couple of forms that we're going to pass out to you. One is a health form. We need that filled out. If you don't have all the information available with you right now, you're more than welcome to take that back, and we will need you to send back with your student. We're also going to be sending out an electronic communication form. There are 3 options on this form. You need to clearly mark just one of the options. Those options are, we can directly contact your student, no problem. Option 2, you cannot contact my student. Don't call them, don't text them. Option 3, you can call them or text them, but you need to alert me as to what's going on. Especially, this is really important, especially if for some reason we end up going virtual distance learning as a school. Tournaments are going to still happen because of the online platform. It is your option at what to choose. We respect that. However, there may be certain situations where if you check the do not contact, we may not enter your student at a tournament, especially when it comes to districts, potentially going to nationals. If we can contact them, we get to. So the health form, the communication form, and we have a schedule of the first 2 months here. After we start getting some forms in, I'll begin sending out some emails with more information on tournament dates and kind of procedures. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to contact us via email. Students should have our emails on the syllabus and classroom management forms. You should be receiving an email from us relatively shortly once we get all of the forms back and start creating our group contact list. Short of that, we're looking forward to whatever the season brings. It's going to be crazy, it's going to be different. There's going to be a lot going on. We're excited for it. We hope your student is too. If you have questions, please feel free to stick around and talk to one of us. Other than that, if you have no questions, fill out the forms. You can leave them here with us. If you'd like to take them with you, fantastic. Just make sure that those get sent back with your student. Thank you very much for attending, and we hope you all have a good rest of your evening.